You thought you were building a life. You were babysitting an ego. You thought love could heal him. But no love can raise an adult child. When you stopped playing mom, he started throwing tantrums, and the mask slipped. You thought you found a partner. You thought you were building a life together. But behind the charm, behind the grand words, you were parenting a broken boy in an adult's body. He called it love, but it was control. He called it passion, but it was possession. He called it loyalty, but it was leash after leash, tightening around you day by day. At first you tried harder. You loved deeper. You believed you could hold the cracks together. But the harder you loved, the more he crumbled, and the more he blamed you for the pieces. Because a narcissist isn't looking for love. They're looking for a caretaker. Someone to feed their emptiness. Someone to soothe their tantrums. Someone to hand them the spotlight and disappear in the dark. You thought setting boundaries would bring respect. It brought rage. You thought asking for kindness would bring connection. It brought contempt. You thought walking away would bring closure. It brought the worst tantrum yet, because the mask was never real. Beneath the performance, beneath the grandiosity, beneath the words, was a child, a scared, stunted child, who learned to perform, but never learned to love. And when you stopped playing your role, his entire world shattered. You thought standing your ground would be the hard part. You thought leaving would bring the peace you'd been craving. But what you didn't expect was how low they would crawl. How loud they would scream once the leash slipped from their hands. Because when a narcissist loses control, they lose their entire sense of self. They are not built to face rejection. They are not built to face themselves. They are built to win, to dominate, to bend the world to their will. So when you said no, when you said enough, when you walked away, you triggered the tantrum they'd been holding inside for years. The insults came first, sharp, vicious, calculated to wound you deep. And when that didn't work, the victim act began. The crocodile tears, the trembling voice, the desperate text messages, the staged cries for pity, because this was never love, this was addiction. And you had just cut off their supply. And when the act failed, when you stayed silent, when you held the line, they fell apart. Like a child throwing toys across the floor, like a toddler pounding fists against the crib bars. How dare you not comfort them? How dare you not come back? How dare you not save them from the emptiness they refuse to face alone? And in that moment, you saw the truth, clearer than ever before. This was not your partner. This was a wounded child in grown skin, demanding the comfort, demanding the caretaking. They never learned to give themselves, and you were no longer their parent. You were no longer their savior. You were finally free. When the tantrum faded, when the mask lay shattered, when the stage lights dimmed, you stood in the quiet and saw the truth. He was never a king, never a god, never a worthy partner. He was a boy trapped in a man's body. A boy who needed worship, needed rescuing, needed someone to blame. And for too long, that someone was you. You carried him through every storm. You stitched his wounds. You sacrificed pieces of yourself to patch the holes in his heart. But it was never enough, because no love is big enough to raise an adult child. So you stopped. You let the crown fall. You laid down the cape. You chose you. And when you did, he shrieked. He wailed. He begged the world to believe that you were the villain. But the world no longer mattered. The smear campaigns, the pity plays, the desperate grabs for attention. None of it could touch you anymore, because you had finally seen it. Behind the charm, behind the words, behind the grand act was an abandoned child, screaming in the dark. But you are not a parent to broken men. You are not a savior for lost boys. You are not a therapist for tantrums. You are a survivor. You are a warrior. You are free. And no matter how loud they cry, how many stories they spin, how many times they try to pull you back, you will not return, because now you know the truth, and no one who knows the truth can ever be fooled again. Like this, if you finally stop parenting an adult child. Comment if they threw a tantrum when you walked away. Subscribe if you're ready to never fall for the mask again.